Welcome, and my name is Benjamin Faust. We're going to talk about the pollution curve, specifically related to countries when they're rich, countries when they're poor, and countries when they're somewhere in between. So the reason I chose this is because of the U.S. withdrawal, the announcement of the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate Change Agreement. Let's talk in general about pollution. I actually did some research on this morning. There have been documented cases of complaints about air pollution since at least 12th century Europe and maybe even further back. So it's not a new problem. It's probably exacerbated though because we have a larger population, we have more industry, we have more things going on. Let's talk about who has the most pollution. Is it rich nations with lots of industry? Is it poor nations without a lot of industry? Or is it somebody in between? Actually, let's look at this chart. On this side, we're going to represent pollution levels, okay? So we have high pollution, low pollution, and then here's increasing wealth. So your poorer countries will be here, your richer countries will be here. How does it look? It looks like something like this, okay? What you get, poor countries don't have a lot of pollution because they don't have industry. Okay, you're talking, maybe even like farmers that don't do anything but farm and eat what they farm. You have people with using animals instead of cars. You have instead of factories. If you have any kind of manufacturing, it's very simple. It's like in a shed. It's not in an advanced thing. There's not a lot of electricity generation. Not a lot of need for coal. That's what you got here. And then it goes up as you develop, as you converge. What happens is briefly when poor countries become rich. A lot of times it happens very quickly. They converge very quickly as they start to get themselves together. Pollution levels skyrocket, and then when they get wealthy, it goes back down. Does that mean wealthy countries, are all like, having what do you call it when you have the toilet outside? Outhouses. Are we all back to that? No, it's because wealthy countries, in essence, have the money in order to fund pollution reduction programs. So you have poor countries without a lot of wealth, not a lot of pollution. They go through this thing where they get a lot of pollution and then it comes back down. All right. One complaint of the Paris Climate Agreement was that it was not hard enough on China and India. Well, first of all, personally, I'm glad we did pull out. I think it's harsh for the United States to be in that. It's hard on the economy. I think harder on the economy than it is or will be on the environment to pull out of that. But why does it go back down? It's because we have the wealth in order to do that. So it looks like this. You don't have a lot of stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question. We're talking about China and India. Where are China and India? They're right in here. India's probably, getting ramped up. China's more, almost middle income, so they're probably, in here. But you have to go through this curve. Why is this? Well, because cutting pollution as an advanced nation costs money, and when you're getting started, you don't have enough capital, enough money, enough resources to do, both create a new factory and make it most efficient on pollution. So what you get is it's almost like it's unfortunate because pollution is bad, but it's almost like a passage of right to become an advanced industrialized nation. Everybody went through this that we know of that has any kind of industry at all. The United States went through it, and it maybe ended not as late as you think. We're talking pollution levels in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania were pretty bad even in the 60s, 70s, 80s, especially in the early 80s. It really drops off. But you have a lot of cheap coal in the area. They're burning in the factories. America went through this in general. England, Australia, the four Asian tigers. That's South Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. Maybe not Singapore as much. I really don't know how much industry Singapore has. Hong Kong just has a little bit. Maybe not much anymore. But you go through this curve, okay? It is a story time. I was coming back from China. I had been teaching there. I was coming back after a long flight. Had to go through customs in LAX. Bunch of liberals. So I'm getting off. I'm going to the customs. I'm angry because I sat next to a Chinese girl with these muffs on her arm. They're puffy, and I'm a big boy, okay? I'm like 6'2", over 300 pounds. So I'm sitting next to her, and constantly she's going like this, and she's like, her and it's like this tiger print muff is constantly scratching me. And when you're on an airplane for that long, you just get angry about all kinds of things. So I'm done, and I leave. I go through customs, and you know, the customs agent job is to kind of sort you out. Are you good or are you bad? I was not in the mood to talk at all. What he did though, he's trying to engage me, you know. He's like, you know, trying to see if I'm a bad person, to see if I'll talk. So he's like, so where you come from? What you doing? You know, why were you in China? I was like, I was teaching. He's like, and then he said something, you know, because I was teaching economics at the time. He was like, well, they have a lot of pollution over there. That's pretty bad, huh? Oh, you got me going, because I was like, oh, okay, liberal California. Think about that. Well, my perception of California, if you're in California and you're conservative, God bless you. If you're liberal, God bless you too. You know, you can be wrong and we can still be friends. But here's what happens. Like, it is very cruel to tell countries down here, if you are down here, these people, I'm putting it in red, actually pink maybe, red, whatever, because they need help. They need to get here. And it would be great if this looked more like, you know, if it was a flat line of pollution curve. It's not, and unless we're going to give them a bunch of money, which I don't think it's necessarily appropriate, they're going to go through the curve. So we have got to allow, you know, this thing, and this is, I don't think Paris was good, but Paris did allow for this. They allowed them to keep going through this. We've got to allow people to go up here, and then once they gain wealth, they're going to reduce pollution. It costs money. And once you have the money, because you have the industry, then you're okay. If you try to cut pollution before you get the industry, you're going to shrink your growth rate. If you enjoy economic videos such as this, do me a favor. Would you follow me or send me a friend request on Facebook? You can follow me on YouTube. Search Benjamin Faust, economics teacher. I'm on Twitter and Gab at Benjamin Faust. All right? And share this with your friends. Like it. If you have a question on it on Facebook, go ahead and comment. I usually get back to those within not too long. So, all right. Remember, when you're trying to figure out problems about pollution, you know, try to do the right thing. In your discussion, let those poor countries get up here before we start talking about how much we're going to cut. Because it's easier to cut when you have money to cut, and you have enough money that you're doing better. So, take care.